Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about the 90-10 rule. If you want to know what that is, then stay tuned. Hi, my name's Andy and this is the Q4 channel and I'm talking from the shed, and at the moment the shed's a little bit chilly. So yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about the 90-10 rule and how you can apply it for your life that will hopefully help you make some good decisions and not fall into the big bear pits that a lot of us do, unfortunately. So, what is the 90-10 rule? Before I get into that, please, if you haven't already subscribed, then hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to tickle that bell icon, because then you'll get notifications of new uploads. And let's get into this now. So what is the 90-10 rule? Well, it's really 90% versus 10%. In many aspects of our life, whether it be our business life, whether it be our personal life, it could be also our health. We always look at the 10%. So 90% of your life could be going swimmingly. Let's say it's an intimate relationship. 90% of that relationship is brilliant. Your partner is loving, supportive, is just all round great. And at the beginning you think it's perfect. Well, unfortunately in life there isn't anything that's perfect. But you think this is great, you know, she's caring, she's loving, she's supportive. I'm getting everything I need from this relationship. But as the relationship goes on, you realise there's one little thing that niggles. There's just something, the fly in the ointment, the snake in the Garden of Eden, that is stopping it from being perfect. Well, you're foolish to aim for perfect, because nothing in life is ever perfect. There's nothing in nature that's perfect, and there's nothing generally in life that is perfect. So aiming for perfection, although sounds like a lofty goal, just can't be achieved. You're literally setting yourself up for failure. But you are aiming for great. You can have a great relationship. So say in this relationship we're talking about a close personal relationship. There is something that your partner just won't do for you. It might be a moral thing, it might be a religious thing, it might just be something they just don't feel comfortable with. But it's something that they just go, no, I won't do that. So now you start obsessing about what you think you're missing out on. It's not a case of you are missing out on anything, because it never happened in this relationship. She's always said no. But you stop thinking about the 90% of that relationship where everything's great. You're doing well together financially, you're doing well together as a couple generally. And as I say, you're supportive, she supports you, you are both really comfortable with each other. But then you start obsessing about that 10%, that thing that just would make it perfect, that she won't do. So now you're obsessing about that and you start ignoring the 90%. You stop going over the 90% and realising just how lucky you are that you have somebody that loves you, supportive to you, backs your decisions, argues your corner if need be, fights your fights with you, just as you do with her. But because you're now obsessing about the 10%, I want that as well, then the 90% starts to slide, because you start acting differently. Whereas before you were as loving a person as they could be, you're now a little short-tempered. You can't really understand why you are. You've not actually sat down and rationalised to yourself, why am I behaving this way? You're just starting to obsess about something that you think you're missing out on. And you start forgetting about the 90%. And this is what happens. You keep going down that line, down that road, and what will happen is the whole thing will fall down. And you now find yourself going, what happened? How did I get to this point? It was going great. You may end up doing it by cheating on your partner, by going, I want that 10%, and then finding somebody who would do what your partner wouldn't do for you. And then realising just how shallow you are. What was wrong with that 90%? I've alluded to this in previous videos and in the last video I said it, the opposite of good isn't bad. The opposite of good is better. When you've got a great relationship, 90% of all of your needs, wants and lusts are being met, and then you chase after that 10% to make it better and end up ruining everything. Now this can be applied to business as well. You look at your business model, you plan it forward, you set into motion what your plans are, and 90% of it works. And you should be ecstatic. There you are, 90% of your business, you're making money well, you've got orders coming in left, right and centre, and you should be happy. But then you start obsessing about the 10% of your plan that didn't work, and wondering how you could improve that 10%. 90%, let's be honest, is pretty darn good. So why chase after 10% when you have 90%? And again, the whole house of cards can be brought down by you focusing on the 10% instead of making sure the 90% stays 90%. Making sure that you still make sure your clients are happy with your product or service, making sure that you keep your standards up and they don't start slipping. Make sure that your staff, who, let's be honest with, you rely on for your business, are happy in their work, morale is high. If you keep that 90% as a constant, the 10% might just start trickling in on its own. But if you start concentrating on the 10%, that means you're ignoring the 90%, and those things, there are so many facets of what could go wrong in that 90%, that if you don't keep an eye on it, if you don't make sure it stays at 90%, it will start falling apart. And when that happens, it's difficult to get it back. My dad always used to say, you know, son, it's difficult to get a good reputation in business, but it's easy to get a bad one. And what he meant by that was it was only time and good work and continuity that grew him his relationship in business as being a good guy. But he only had to make one slight slip, and that person who had a bad experience would quickly tell 10 people about that bad experience, who then would tell 10 people, and it snowballs. And then all of a sudden you've got a bad reputation for one slip, that 10%. Whereas the 90% of the people that were happy with your work and what you did were probably, they don't go round bragging about it, funnily enough. They don't go, I've just had the best service in the world from this company. No, they tend to, until somebody mentions it, oh yeah, I'm looking for this to be done. Oh, I use somebody and they made a great job of it. But when you had a bad experience, you can't wait to tell people about how miserable you were and how bad your experience is. So that, he was right. A good reputation is hard to achieve. But I think he didn't go far enough. A good reputation is hard to achieve, but even harder to maintain. Whereas a bad reputation, it's very difficult to shake. And if somebody comes with a preconceived idea of your reputation, it's very difficult for you to turn their mindset around to, no, I'm not this, I'm actually this. Look at any time that you've seen scandals that have happened to businesses or politicians or such like. How long they last. People have got long memories. And it's the same in relationships. You might be able to get back to that 90%, but I doubt if you did, if you're obsessed about the 10%. Because the dynamic of that relationship has now changed. So like the previous video that I was talking about, Enough, the Secret of Happiness, this one is a case of you need to look and count your blessings. Look at the 90% that you already have and put a little bit of effort into maintaining that 90%. Hopefully that last little 10%, and you'll never get the 100% because, as I've said, nothing's ever perfect, but that some of that last 10% might just bleed into that 90% because you're concentrating on what really is important, and that is all of the good things that you have in your life so far. So that's what I'm talking about when I say the 90% and the 10%, the 90-10 rule, and how if you don't concentrate on what's going on with the 90% and start chasing after the 10%, a fool's errand. A wise man once said, "He who chases 2 rabbits catches neither," which is true. You have to focus on the 1 rabbit. So 90-10. I hope this has been informative for you, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please leave a like down below. Go on, give it a thumbs up. And also, tell me what your views are on the 90-10 rule. Tell me what you think is important. Or in another way, tell me how you chased after the 10% and how the 90% crumbled behind you. Anyway, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and give the bell icon a little tickle. And that's it. Let's finish with a little bit of humour. Some men are breast men. They love the breast. Some men are leg men. Oh, it's all about the leg. But some men, like me, don't care what part of the chicken they eat. Anyway, you people out there, you be happy, you be healthy, but above all, take care of yourself, because if you don't, who will? Bye bye now.